Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to cut through all the noise, all the hype around AI.
There's certainly a lot of it.
There is. We want to focus exclusively on the raw, tangible impact that artificial intelligence is having right now. We're taking the huge news digest you provided, a really deep stack of sources on recent breakthroughs, and we're going to distill it.
Right.
We want to get to the essential knowledge you need to be informed on the true, ground-level transformation AI is enacting.
And that's the critical distinction, isn't it, for today? We are moving past the abstract talks about generative models and all the philosophical speculation.
Exactly.
We're analyzing current implemented applications, and what the sources clearly show is that AI isn't some futuristic concept anymore. It's now an integrated, active part of our daily existence.
It's here.
It's here, and it's driving these profound, measurable improvements across two sectors that seem really different but are, vital.
Which are?
Transportation infrastructure and human health.
Right, so you need that shortcut. You need to understand where AI is delivering verifiable real-world benefits today. We're looking for things you can measure. Safety increases, quantifiable speed gains, and of course, revolutionary advancements in health outcomes.
Tangible evidence.
That tangible evidence is the absolute core of this deep dive.
And we've got a clear path for our analysis today. We're going to start with something universal, a challenge of urban life.
Traffic.
Managing the flow of traffic. And then we're going to transition directly into the really profound breakthroughs that are currently revolutionizing medical diagnostics and personalized patient treatment.
So we're moving from the street to the clinic.
We are. We're showcasing how AI is maximizing safety, speed, efficiency, and I think most critically, human longevity.
So two huge sectors to analyze, moving from the street level all the way down to the cellular level, all in one continuous dive. And the common thread here, the thing unifying these breakthroughs, it isn't just speed, is it?
No, not at all. It's the ability of AI to analyze these vast, incredibly complex data sets in real time. It's about identifying patterns that are just. They're invisible to traditional computation or, frankly, to human analysis.
And that sheer computational power applied with these, sophisticated machine learning frameworks, that's the engine, right?
That is the engine of this entire transformation. What we're seeing is efficiency being implemented as a public utility.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with how AI is hitting the road and fundamentally changing how we navigate the world, how it's making things demonstrably safer and faster for every single driver using the system. So the first major piece of news we have is about a leading tech company. They've announced a significant systemic upgrade to their AI-powered navigation systems. Now, look, we've had navigation for decades, right? But the promise here, a safer and more efficient driving experience, that sounds like something much more ambitious than just, rerouting you around a traffic jam.
Oh, it is. It represents a foundational shift in how navigation even functions.
A shift how?
Well, think about traditional models. They're based on GPS, maybe some historical traffic maps. They are fundamentally descriptive and reactive.
They tell you what's happening right now.
Exactly. They show you the path of least resistance at this exact moment. The core of this new system, though, is its use of advanced machine learning algorithms. They're used to better predict and react to real-time road conditions.
Okay, so predict and react. That's the key.
It's the difference between just reporting history and actually forecasting the future, even if it's just a few seconds ahead.
I want to dig into that predictive element because that's where the real safety benefit has to come from. When we talk about these machine learning algorithms, are we talking about supervised learning where the AI is trained on, massive data sets of past accidents? Or is it more dynamic, something like reinforcement learning?
It's a great question, and the sources indicate it's a pretty sophisticated hybrid approach, which, you need for the real world. Yeah, you absolutely need supervised learning to ingest all that historical data. Millions of hours of driving logs, precise weather correlations, time-of-day risk profiles, infrastructure data, all of it. That training data creates the baseline understanding of risk.
Okay, so that's how the AI learns, for instance, that a specific bridge deck gets disproportionately slippery on a Tuesday morning in December when it's exactly 35 degrees.
Precisely. It learns those incredibly specific correlations that no human could ever keep track of.
That's impressive statistical analysis for sure, but the real-time component, the reaction part you mentioned, that has to be something else entirely, right?
Absolutely. And that's where the dynamic, the adaptive component comes in. It often leverages techniques that are, similar to reinforcement learning. It's constantly adjusting its own risk model based on live data feeds.
Live data from where?
The system is consuming real-time telematics from thousands of other vehicles, and not just where they are.
What else then?
Their acceleration vectors, their steering inputs, even their braking pressure. It creates this constantly updated, micro-localized statistical model of potential hazards.
Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. The algorithm isn't just looking at the speed limit and the current traffic volume. It's calculating the probability of a hard braking event, or, say, a lane change collision happening in the next 60 seconds. Based on an aggressive driving pattern, it detects 5 cars ahead of you.
That's it, exactly. It's processing billions of data points, far more than any human brain could ever handle, to generate these actionable safety insights before the hazard is even visible to you, the driver.
So what does it do? Does it just beep at you?
It can. This predictive capability allows the system to send proactive alerts. Or, more subtly, it can integrate warnings right into the navigation. It might recommend a slight speed adjustment or a lane change that just guides you away from the highest risk statistical zone.
So it's optimizing for statistical safety, not just for getting there fast.
It's optimizing for both, which is the breakthrough.
That really does make the navigation system an active safety feature, not just a map on a screen. But I do wonder, if the model relies so heavily on historical data, how does it handle something totally new? A truly unpredictable event like a flash flood or a sinkhole that's never been cataloged before?
That's a fantastic point, and that is where the power of redundancy and collective intelligence comes into play. It leads us directly to the second major feature that the sources mention,
Which is?
the enhanced communication capability. When a model sees a truly novel event, a high-variance event like, say, sudden heavy hail, it can't rely on historical trends.
Right, there's no data for it.
But what it can rely on is the instantaneous feedback loop from the immediate environment.
And that means using the enhanced vehicle-to-vehicle communication, the V2V system. That sounds like a constant shared conversation between every car on the road.
It is, in a way. It's an anonymized, high-speed digital layer. And this is where individual safety optimization scales up to become citywide resilience. The sources stress that the V2V communication shares crucial data about traffic patterns and potential hazards. And this data is so much richer than just a GPS location.
Okay, richer how? What specific sensor outputs are we talking about here? Is it just acceleration, or is the system sharing outputs from things like the vehicle's stability control systems,
Yes,
or even its cameras?
it's a multi-layered stream of data. Yes, it includes aggregated speed and acceleration vectors, absolutely. But it also includes data that indicates vehicle instability.
Instability.
For instance, if the traction control system activates on a curve, the immediate localized data packets broadcast to all the surrounding vehicles will include a tire slip rate or sudden steering input flag. And this happens instantly, without needing a central server to process it first. It can even involve anonymized aggregation of environmental data, things like external temperature, barometric pressure changes, and even road surface recognition that's detected by the advanced camera vision systems.
So let's play this out. A car in the left lane suddenly hydroplanes on a patch of standing water. That instantaneous data isn't just sent to some cloud server somewhere. It's broadcast instantly to all the cars around it that are using the system,
Exactly.
warning them of that specific high-risk road surface condition seconds before they even reach that exact spot.
Precisely. This instant information exchange allows the predictive AI in every single receiving car to update its local model instantly. It translates that external risk into actionable guidance for the driver. Maybe it's a gentle haptic vibration in the steering wheel or a vocal prompt to reduce speed immediately, even though the hazard is still completely out of sight.
And the continuous collective stream of this data, all the data about overall traffic patterns, how cars queue up, accelerate, decelerate, that must allow the AI to calculate the optimal speed and spacing for the entire flow of cars on a given stretch of road.
Now you're getting to the system-wide efficiency. This moves us entirely beyond individual safety.
We're talking about managing the whole system.
That's the core insight of this whole section, traditional driving chaos. It's often perpetuated by human reaction time and the phantom traffic jam.
Oh, I know those. You're sitting in traffic for miles and then it just clears up for no reason.
Exactly. If one person slows down abruptly, it forces the driver behind them to brake even harder, and that ripple effect propagates backward. It turns a tiny momentary slowdown into a 5-mile backup.
It's the most frustrating part of driving in a city.
But when vehicles are communicating via AI, They can collectively manage their speed and distance at the source of the problem.
Oh.
Instead of one car braking hard, the entire platoon of communicating vehicles can subtly, instantaneously reduce speed by, say, 1 mile per hour, all at the same time. They prevent the creation of those phantom jams entirely. They keep speed stable and the flow of traffic consistently high, even when density is high.
So the feeling for you as the driver would be massive. The journey feels smoother, more predictable, and honestly, a lot less fatiguing.
Right, because the surprise and the sudden chaos have been largely engineered out of the environment.
It's like a foundational digital safety and efficiency layer that's just laid over our physical roads.
It's a fundamental improvement in how we use our existing infrastructure, and it's all implemented through software and collective data intelligence.
And this level of efficiency on the road, I mean, it leads us perfectly to the next challenge we want to talk about. How does AI take this intelligence and scale it up to manage the entire city grid, focusing not just on individual cars, but on those huge urban bottlenecks and congestion? Okay, so the sources also highlight a new study, and this study reveals that AI integration in urban transportation is significantly cutting down commute times. This is where we shift focus, right, from optimizing the car itself to optimizing the whole nervous system of the city, the traffic management infrastructure.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets, for me, really interesting, because now we're talking about automating the traffic lights, the very backbone of urban flow.
This is that shift I mentioned from V2V, vehicle to V2Y, vehicle to infrastructure. The intelligence now resides in the city's control center. And this study, it focuses on these AI-driven traffic management systems that operate with a level of precision and real-time adaptation that traditional systems just, they can't even come close to matching.
And traditional traffic lights, as you said earlier, they've been operating on these fixed timers or, maybe rudimentary time-of-day cycles for decades.
Decades.
An engineer sets the cycle at, say, 90 seconds for Main Street and 30 for the side street, and it just runs that cycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't care if there's a sudden accident or a school closes or a big game lets out early. That rigidity seems like the fundamental flaw.
It is the source of massive, massive inefficiency. The fundamental principle of dynamic AI traffic management is continuous data synthesis.
Data synthesis.
The AI is like a central data hub that simultaneously analyzes inputs from every conceivable source.
Like what? What sources?
High-resolution cameras that are watching the vehicle cues, magnetic inductance loops that are embedded in the roadway,
Yeah.
acoustic sensors detecting density, and of course the aggregated GPS data from millions of vehicles, which we just discussed in the last section.
So instead of a static map or just a simple timer, the system has a genuinely living, breathing, sub-second picture of the city's traffic arteries.
Absolutely. And this enables the core breakthrough, dynamic adjustment.
Okay.
Let's contrast this with that rigidity you just mentioned. The traditional system wastes so much time. We've all been there, right? Sitting at a red light on a quiet side street for the full 90-second cycle of the main road, even though there's been a clear break in traffic on the main road for 20 seconds.
Every single day. It's wasted capacity and it's wasted time.
The dynamic system completely eliminates that waste. It prioritizes actual, observable, verifiable demand over these pre-programmed assumptions.
So how does it work in practice?
The AI uses real-time processing to adjust the signals dynamically. So if it detects, through its camera vision and sensor data, a massive vehicle queue suddenly building up on the southbound lanes.
Maybe because of an unexpected lane closure.
Exactly. It can instantly adjust the signal timing for that intersection. It might shorten the green time for the quieter cross street from 30 seconds down to 15 and extend the southbound green time to 105 seconds to clear that bottleneck out.
But the real complexity here, and what separates this from just, a single smart light, has to be the networking effect. How does the AI make sure that fixing the problem at intersection A doesn't just push the bottleneck one block down the road to intersection B?
That is the crucial architectural feature. These AI systems are built on network optimization models. They often leverage what's called distributed optimization techniques. The system isn't just optimizing signal A in a vacuum, it's modeling the downstream effect of every single timing change across an entire corridor, or even a whole quadrant of the city.
So it's solving a multivariable equation across, maybe 50 interconnected intersections at the same time?
Precisely. If extending the green light at intersection A clears that bottleneck, but immediately guarantees that vehicles will queue too far back and block a critical rail crossing near intersection C, the AI recognizes that. It sees it as a systemic failure.
So what does it do instead?
It searches for a more balanced solution. Maybe it distributes the clearing time across 3 preceding intersections, keeping traffic moving at a controlled, steady pace until the restriction is passed. This ensures a more fluid movement of vehicles system-wide. It minimizes gridlock.
And the result is a dramatic improvement in overall travel efficiency, a major reduction in those frustrating, unpredictable bottlenecks. But let's look at the broader context here. Let's connect this back to urban challenges. Population growth is relentless all over the world. How does AI specifically manage the pressures of a growing city that our standard fixed cycle infrastructure just, it just can't handle?
Well, the challenge of urban growth is one of escalating complexity. Think about it. For a traffic engineer, managing the signal cycles for a small town is feasible. But managing the cycles for a metropolis of 8 million people, with construction, weather events, ever-shifting demand patterns, it's essentially an impossible task using manual, fixed protocols.
The manual system just hits a ceiling of complexity. It becomes too slow and too reactive to be effective.
That's it, exactly. The AI then provides the necessary scalability and speed to keep pace with that growth.
So as the city gets bigger,
As the city expands and traffic density increases, the AI simply consumes more data from more sources, more cameras, more sensors, more vehicles, and it continues to refine its dynamic model. It's an infinitely scalable complexity manager. It continuously calculates the optimal flow equation in real time. It effectively unlocks this latent capacity in our existing road space that was previously just lost to inefficient signal timing.
so it makes AI an absolutely essential, non-invasive adaptation tool for 21st century urban planning.
It really does.
Now, you mentioned something earlier, and the source material highlights it as a critical secondary benefit, which is absolutely vital for urban quality of life, reducing pollution from idling cars. That is a massive environmental win that's just bundled into this efficiency game.
It's one of the most compelling public health benefits of this technology, I think.
How so?
When vehicles are stuck in that stop-and-go traffic, constantly braking, idling, accelerating, they operate in their least fuel-efficient state. And this dramatically increases the emission of localized air pollutants, things like nitrogen oxides, ammox, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide.
The stuff you don't want to be breathing.
Exactly. These pollutants are closely linked to respiratory illnesses and poor air quality in dense urban centers.
So if the AI eliminates the need for thousands of vehicles to just sit there, idling unnecessarily at hundreds of intersections every hour across the city.
The cumulative environmental and health savings are substantial. Some of the studies cited in the digest suggest that optimizing flow and eliminating that excessive idling can reduce localized pollution footprints by double-digit percentages in these heavily managed corridors.
Wow.
By promoting that fluid, consistent movement, the AI ensures vehicles spend more time in efficient cruising speeds and less time stationary and polluting.
The reduction in commute times is great for, personal stress,
Yeah.
but the reduction in localized air pollution is a massive victory for urban public health.
It transitions AI from being a simple convenience to being an essential environmental and public health utility.
The sheer scale of the data analysis, whether it's predicting an accident 2 miles away or micro-adjusting a traffic light based on a queue of 30 cars, it's profoundly impactful.
It is. It's about maximizing the output of finite resources. In this case, our infrastructure.
Okay, now let's make a clear cognitive shift.
Oh.
A big one.
Yeah.
We are moving from the efficiency of physical infrastructure and carbon emissions to the complexity of biology and the frontier of human health.
Yeah.
AI is making waves in the medical space that are arguably even more deeply transformative than anything we've discussed so far. So, let's talk about the medical clinic. Researchers have unveiled an AI model, and this model is capable of detecting early, often unobservable signs of diseases. The sources specifically mention cancer and Alzheimer's.
Two of the most devastating and time-sensitive conditions we face.
And the key detail here, the phrase they use is unprecedented accuracy of this detection capability.
This is truly a revolutionary step in early diagnostics. And that accuracy, it's directly proportional to the sheer scale and the quality of the data the model is trained on. We are giving the human medical team a kind of technological superpower, one that addresses the fundamental limitations of human perceptual capacity.
Okay, let's elaborate on the power of that data analysis. What exactly makes up the vast amounts of medical imaging data that the model analyzes? We need to be specific at what makes this data set so unique.
To get to this level of accuracy, the models need so much more than just standard 2D X-rays or basic scans. They require millions of high-resolution, multimodal images. We're talking 3D reconstructed MRI scans detailing soft tissue volume, dynamic CT scans showing flow, digital pathology slides showing cell morphology at the microscopic level,
Okay.
and even correlation with anonymized genomic sequencing data. And crucially, all of this data has to be meticulously cataloged and annotated by expert human radiologists and pathologists. That's a process that takes years.
So the AI develops this foundational understanding of what statistically normal tissue looks like across populations, ages, genders, and crucially, how early disease progression subtly deviates from that normal baseline.
Exactly. The human doctor, even an expert radiologist with decades of experience, has a finite capacity. They review a huge number of images in their career, but their personal training set is still limited by time and memory.
Right.
This AI model, though, it ingests and correlates hundreds of millions of data points, and that allows it to excel in pattern recognition. We are focusing on its capability to identify these subtle patterns and anomalies that may be missed by the human eye.
Not because the doctor's unskilled, but because the anomaly itself is just infinitesimally small.
Precisely.
Can you give us an example of that kind of subtle pattern, particularly in a condition like Alzheimer's, where early detection is notoriously difficult?
Sure. Let's consider the early stages of Alzheimer's. They're often characterized by very subtle volume loss in deep brain structures, particularly the hippocampus. A human reviewing a standard MRI might notice a slight asymmetry or maybe a minor reduction in volume, but attributing that minor change to early stage disease rather than just natural variance it's incredibly challenging, especially if the patient isn't showing obvious symptoms yet.
That slight deviation might just look like noise in the image.
To the human eye, yes. The AI, however, is operating with extreme consistency. It's analyzing submillimeter detail, and it compares that patient's hippocampal volume and the surrounding tissue texture against its database of millions of healthy scans and millions of scans showing confirmed early-stage progression. It recognizes that specific three-dimensional pattern of variance because it statistically correlates that exact signature with a high probability of neurodegenerative changes.
And it's tireless.
It's tireless, operating at a level of detail and consistency that's just impossible for any human who's performing these repetitive tasks.
So the AI is acting as a supremely accurate, high-speed filtering system. It brings only the most suspicious, the most statistically relevant images to the doctor's attention for that final confirmation.
That's its primary function augmentation. It's a tool for the expert. And this capability is paramount because it directly facilitates earlier intervention and treatment.
And when it comes to devastating diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, timing is absolutely everything. Catching a disease months or even years earlier can fundamentally alter the entire prognosis.
It absolutely can. For many solid tumor cancers, the difference between stage 1, where the tumor is small and localized, and stage 3, where it has spread regionally, well, that's the difference between a high chance of a cure with localized treatment and a significantly poorer prognosis that's going to require aggressive systemic chemotherapy.
And by flagging those subtle anomalies, the AI dramatically shortens that diagnostic timeline.
It does.
And for Alzheimer's, even if our current treatments aren't curative, early detection still dies valuable time.
Right. It buys critical time. It allows clinicians to enroll patients in early-stage clinical trials, to implement aggressive lifestyle interventions, or to start symptomatic drug therapies long before the patient reaches severe cognitive decline.
So early intervention slows the disease's progression. It preserves functional years of life.
Yes, exactly.
The sources connect this technology directly to quantifiable benefits, potentially saving countless lives and significantly reducing healthcare costs. This raises a really important question about resource allocation and how this technology transforms the entire economics of health.
The economic impact is twofold. First, the cost of late-stage intervention is just astronomical.
Right.
Treating late-stage cancer requires complex surgical teams, prolonged hospital stays, highly specialized drug protocols, intensive follow-up care. The list goes on. Early detection, which often leads to minimally invasive or localized treatments, drastically decreases the complexity and the duration of that intervention. It saves millions in systemic healthcare costs every year.
So AI doesn't just improve the health outcome. It makes the entire healthcare delivery system more economically sustainable. It prevents that explosion of late-stage costs.
And second, it increases operational efficiency. AI doesn't get tired. It processes a backlog of scans in a fraction of the time a human can. It can triage high-risk cases instantly, ensuring that the human specialist's time, which is the most expensive resource in the hospital, is dedicated only to the most critical, complex cases that require human judgment, not routine screening.
So it shifts the financial burden.
It shifts the financial burden from expensive, intensive curative measures to cheaper, preventative, and early-stage management.
That is powerful. So if this section, section 3, was about finding the problem faster and cheaper, then section 4 moves on to solving it better, tailored specifically to the individual patient. Now let's introduce the second big healthcare breakthrough, using AI to personalize patient care. This is an initiative focused on building treatment plans that are perfectly customized based on individual patient data. This is medicine moving from generalized protocols to, bespoke engineering.
That's a great way to put it. This represents the move from population averages to individual reality. We are leveraging the same computational power that found the subtle pattern for diagnosis to now understand the best possible therapeutic response for treatment.
So the goal is to perfectly optimize the treatment for the unique biochemical makeup of that one specific patient.
That's the goal.
So what are the core inputs of the AI harnesses here? The source mentions integrating individual patient histories and genetic information. That sounds like a data integration challenge of immense scale.
It is the ultimate data synthesis task. We're talking about merging fundamentally different streams of data. Patient history is a deep well. Decades of previous diagnoses, every single medication ever taken, documented responses to those drugs, allergy lists, environmental exposure indices.
Like pollutants or occupational hazard.
Exactly, and detailed lifestyle data. Then you overlay the cutting edge of genomic data, the patient's unique DNA sequence, transcriptomics, which is gene expression, and proteomics, which is protein presence.
This means the AI is integrating information from the macro level, like lifestyle, all the way down to the molecular level of their DNA.
Precisely. And the core purpose of all this synthesis is predictive modeling. What's truly fascinating here is the predictive capability. The AI analyzes this integrated data to predict how a specific individual patient might respond to various treatment options.
It's pharmacogenomics, but supercharged by machine learning.
Yes.
Can you walk us through a scenario where this predictive power would be crucial?
Of course. Consider two patients. They both have the exact same specific subtype of a chronic disease, let's say rheumatoid arthritis. Based on standard clinical guidelines, they would both be prescribed the same first-line drug. We'll call it drug Y.
Okay.
However, patient A has a specific genetic mutation that causes them to metabolize drug Y extremely slowly. This means the drug accumulates in their system, leading to potentially severe toxicity. Patient B, meanwhile, has a different genetic variant that renders drug Y almost instantly inactive, making the treatment totally ineffective for them.
And without the AI, the doctor is forced to proceed by trial and error. They prescribe drug Y, they wait weeks or months, they monitor for side effects, and then they realize it either harmed the patient or did absolutely nothing. And they've wasted precious time.
Exactly. The AI predicts those individual responses with high statistical confidence before the first dose is ever administered. It runs these virtual simulations. It's essentially A/B testing dozens of different drug combinations, dosages, and timings against that one patient's unique genetic and historical profile.
So it doesn't just say, this drug is bad for you.
No, it's much more specific. It says, based on this patient's CYP450 enzyme profile and their past drug sensitivity, drug Y has an 85% probability of causing a severe adverse reaction, while drug Z offers a 92% efficacy rate with only a 5% chance of mild side effects.
This sounds like a tremendous leap in enabling doctors to make more informed decisions. It transforms the role of the physician from someone relying on population-level statistics to someone working with these highly personalized forecasts.
It is about data-driven augmentation of human judgment. That's the key. The AI provides the statistical certainty that's derived from the global corpus of medical knowledge, but tailored down to the single person.
Right.
This moves the conversation away from the old standard, which was, well, we have to try this treatment and see how you respond. The new reality is, based on your unique biology, this specific dosage of this specific combination offers the highest probability of success with the lowest statistical risk.
It reduces risk, It eliminates wasteful, ineffective treatments, and, most importantly, it saves time in the battle against progressive diseases.
And it completely changes the patient experience. It moves them away from uncertainty and adverse reactions. Let's summarize the triple benefits of this personalized approach. This is the outcome that really defines this new era of precision medicine.
Okay, hit us with a summary of benefits.
First, the enhanced effectiveness of treatments. By matching the therapeutic mechanism to the specific genetic and environmental drivers of the disease in that one person, we maximize the chance of a successful outcome. And often we can reduce the required dosage or intensity.
Makes sense. Second, the critical safety factor.
Minimizing potential side effects is paramount. Avoiding adverse drug reactions by knowing a patient's genetic sensitivity beforehand doesn't just improve their immediate safety and quality of life during treatment, it prevents subsequent complications that add to their overall morbidity.
Okay, and the third benefit, which kind of encompasses all this sophisticated tailoring.
It is the paving of the way for a new era of precision medicine. And precision medicine recognizes that every single human being is a unique biochemical system. AI is the only tool that's capable of handling the complexity required to treat that individual variability effectively.
So it recognizes that the perfect treatment for you might be actively harmful to the person sitting right next to you, even if your symptoms look identical. That's a powerful synthesis. If we connect sections 3 and 4 one last time, AI is improving both when we catch a disease with early, accurate, cost-effective diagnosis and how we fight it with personalized, low-risk, high-efficacy treatment.
It is.
It's attacking the entire patient journey with intelligence.
It's creating a fully intelligent health system. The same deep learning models used to detect the early signs of a disease are then immediately leveraged to understand the optimal treatment pathway, and it's all driven by the patient's own genetic code.
This isn't science fiction.
This is not future science. This is the reality of medical technology today, and it is rapidly changing the expectations of what healthcare can actually achieve.
The pace of these applied changes, from managing millions of vehicles seamlessly to analyzing billions of genetic base pairs in a clinical setting, it's truly astonishing. #AShagOutro. We've covered a remarkable amount of ground today. We've gone from the macroscopic efficiency of the city grid all the way to the microscopic precision required for personalized genetics. And the central finding, it remains robust. AI is a tangible, transformative force. It is not just a buzzword used to describe some incremental software update.
The evidence is conclusive. We began with advanced machine learning creating safer roads through predictive accident modeling and instantaneous V2V communication.
Right.
Then we analyzed how AI-driven dynamic traffic management is leading to significantly faster commutes, reducing bottlenecks, and providing that profound secondary benefit of cutting down urban pollution from idling vehicles.
And then we transitioned to the clinic. We saw AI providing revolutionary diagnostics, capable of detecting subtle, early anomalies that are indicative of diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, with this consistency and unprecedented accuracy. And finally, we saw how AI integrates these vast data sets of patient history and genetics to deliver highly personalized treatment plans, ushering in the age of precision medicine and drastically reducing treatment risk.
These developments show AI embedding itself into the core systems that define our quality of life and our longevity. They prove that the most beneficial applications of AI are the ones that quietly enhance and optimize and streamline these existing complex, high-stakes human systems.
We are moving toward a future where efficiency and safety are just fundamentally integrated into our infrastructure and our bodies.
I believe so.
And as these technologies continue to evolve, the sources promise they will bring even more innovative solutions to the challenges we face.
Yeah.
We are truly still in the acceleration phase of this curve.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. Something to mull on as you absorb all these insights. If AI can now synthesize these vast amounts of individual genetic and historical data to accurately predict individual patient outcomes and optimize their treatments, what does that level of complex predictive power mean when it is applied to proactive and preventative public health measures before disease is even widespread?
So, if we can accurately forecast the health outcome and treatment response for a single patient, you're asking, can we use aggregated, anonymized data, including environmental factors, community health histories, to forecast health crises across an entire city or a region or even a nation?
Indeed. Imagine an AI model that synthesizes localized environmental data, demographic shifts, specific community health histories, genetic predispositions, statistics. And it uses all that to proactively identify neighborhoods where a targeted public health intervention, like a specific preventative screening program or an air quality mitigation strategy, would have the absolute greatest long-term preventative impact on population health.
That scale of anticipatory public health optimization, it's the logical and staggering next step in AI application.
So what stands out to you as the single most impactful change we discussed today?